Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 15, Episode 45. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Welcome back to this Victory Tuesday as the Pittsburgh Steelers cap off week number 8 with a 26-18 victory over the New York Giants Monday Night Football in Acrisure Stadium. Pittsburgh moving to 6-2 in sole possession of first place in the AFC North into their bye week. It's hard to be mad about any of those things and how the first half of the season has gone. So, Dave, how you doing? And kudos to you. You almost nailed this score prediction to the letter. I think you said, 26-16? Ends up being 26-18. So, I think you had a pretty good read on this one.
Felt pretty good about it. I didn't know it would be such a classic rock fight like it was early on there, but there's a lot of good to talk about. Obviously, a lot of bad. On the defensive side of football, the Giants did their part to kind of help out in all this as well too. But I mean, you got to come out of this game very, very, very happy, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the ball and the Steelers, outside of driving home, those 3 early drives and having to settle. I mean, the ball was going up and down the field, unfortunately, on both sides of the football there by the Giants as well, too. Thought it was a very entertaining game. But look, they did what they were supposed to do. They came out with a victory against a team that they were, I think, 6-point favorites against. Good, what do they say? Good teams win, great teams cover.
There you go.
Along those lines. But now this team goes into the bye week 6-2. We talked at the beginning of the season, felt like this team had to make hay in the first half of the season. They did exactly that. Looks like they got a quarterback. Looks like they've got some offense going here. So where would you like to start after just one? I got to rewatch the TV tape just once and like 4 plays on the all 22.
I have not done any of that because I woke up about 20 minutes ago. But yeah, Pittsburgh, it was a closer game than maybe it should have been and maybe some expected. And I thought Pittsburgh would have some regression, kind of get back to more of a Steelers late game victory. But they got splash plays defensively late, and the offense needs to finish. And being 0-4 in the red zone is going to be a sore spot in this one. Could have certainly had 40 points in this game had you capitalized and just had a couple of almost. It was a game of almost, but the one that wasn't the almost was the victory. That was a definitive victory, 26-18. Dave, before we get into the game and talk about what happened on Monday night, let's kind of talk about some of the housekeeping during the game and before the game. One other piece of good news is Pittsburgh seemed to come out of this game pretty healthy. We will not have a Mike Tomlin press conference on Tuesday, and so won't have an exact health update on any potential players who might be feeling the effects of that game this morning, but no real in-game injuries. Dan Moore Jr., I think he got kicked late in that game on a pile that kind of accidentally fell on him. It was not intentional kicking, just someone accidentally caught him with a cleat. He returned. Other than that, I don't know really who else. Maybe something with McCollum with an arm, but he didn't miss any time. So Pittsburgh in a pretty good place and should get healthier coming out of the bye with Zach Frazier, Nick Herbig, Justin Fields, etc., Tyler Matakevich, Dylan Cook. So the good news is you come out of this one with a win, with what seems to be a clean bill of health, and hopefully some reinforcements on the way for Week 10 at Washington.
Yeah, there a couple of guys got dinged up along the way, but you go into your bye week now, and you now have a chance to get some of these guys back. And I think Mike Tomlin said he thinks that the guys that got the bumps and bruises that left were able to finish. So there's that. So at least from health standpoint, you always like we said, there's no no bad week to have a bye week, but this one's sitting right here, almost slap dab in the middle of the season. Certainly is a great time, especially with as many guys as they have. You got a couple of guys in Dylan Cook and Tyler Matakavich that have their windows open. You should get Nick Herbig obviously back after the bye. Zach Frazier after the bye, hopefully. So things are looking up here, and especially as we said, going into that second half of the schedule here, where all 6 of your divisional games are. That's really what you enjoy seeing.
One player they will not have after the bye is rookie wide receiver Roman Wilson on Monday before kickoff. The team making several roster moves, including putting Wilson on injured reserve due to presumably the hamstring injury he suffered about 2 weeks ago. So he'll miss at least the next 4 weeks. And today has only played 5 snaps this season, has not caught a pass. And some of those other corresponding moves, the team elevated wide receiver Brandon Johnson from the practice squad to the active and inactive roster against the Giants. Would not be surprised if he ultimately got signed to the 53. Team also doing a running back swap, which we talked about on the Monday pregame show, and signing Jonathan Ward to the 53-man roster. He was out of practice squad elevations and releasing running back Aaron Shamklin. So Shamklin could go back to the practice squad. Pittsburgh right now has 1 roster spot on the 53 open. We'll see how they use that. Like I said, could be Brandon Johnson. Cam Sutton's suspension is technically over, I guess. He'll have to be officially reinstated, but it is coming to a close. Probably will get a roster exemption through the bye on that. But overall, some roster moves, and unfortunate for Wilson, whose rookie season seems to be a lost cause.
Yeah, gonna at least miss 4 games starting last night, and we'll have to see where things go from there. But for sure, I kind of wondered earlier in the week with that hamstring injury whether or not he might be part of the moves that happened Monday afternoon, and alas, that was the case there. So have to see. I mean, you never know how the rest of the injuries and all are going to transpire. And right now he just needs to get his conditioning back up. But then there's a whole moving train thing. So I don't know. We'll have to see whether or not he makes it back, from IR, or not. But definitely not what you want to see out of a rookie who's played all of 5 offensive snaps so far in that one game. Definitely hasn't been a desirable, rookie season for him.
And that moving train is far out on the horizon right now. That is for sure. Inactives for this game, last piece of housekeeping before diving into what happened after kickoff last night. Justin Fields was inactive, the emergency third quarterback. He did dress. The suggestions are the hamstring injury is minor. Pittsburgh playing it safe, but he was inactive. Kyle Allen, the actual number 2 quarterback last night, he did not have to take a snap in this one. Other pretty standard fares. One about the last inactive spot, and then being C.J. Henderson, the cornerback that was signed.
He lied to us. He lied. I believed him.
Yeah, Henderson said that he was expected to debut in this one, play on defense, play on special teams. He spent this one in street clothes. So Edmonds, Casey getting the final hats in this game, Dave.
Yeah, the 5 inactives in total, and that's because they had the open 53-man roster spot, then obviously elevated Brandon Johnson, so that puts you back at 53. They dressed 48 because they had they were able to dress 48 because they had 8 offensive linemen up for this one. So there were 3 give me's on the inactive list, and Cordell Patterson, Nick Herbig, and Zach Frazier. That left you to figure out 2 left. You knew one was going to be a quarterback. It was a coin flip. You had that Jay Glazer report stating, and that's that's the only thing that I was going off of. I was going to trust Jay Glazer, thinking that Justin Fields wasn't going to be ready, going to be the emergency number 3 quarterback in this. It was either going to be him or Kyle Allen. Obviously, it ended up being Justin Fields. And then that left one spot open, and I had it narrowed down to Casey or C.J. Henderson. But then I remembered back that Henderson had said early in the week he thought he was going to dress and play, and KZ had been inactive the week before because of the injury, and they got by without him. I figured I believed Henderson. I thought he was going to get the helmet, but he did not. KZ got the helmet instead. So that's your 5 inactives right there, and pretty easy list overall. And then now you just hope to get Justin Fields back healthy after the bye week.
Right, that'll be certainly one to watch along with the other injured players, including Cordero Patterson, who hopefully will return after the bye. He was limited in practice throughout this week, did not play against the Giants, but hopefully can against Washington. All right, Dave, let's get into this game. 26-18 victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The offense, 426 yards of offense. That looks impressive. Felt like there should have been more points. But the thought in my head watching this game was one of your favorite jokes of, that Coca-Cola Pittsburgh Steelers, number 7, number 3 was running really well until the wheels fell off. In Pittsburgh, between the 20s, they were running really well. They were humming on the first drive included, but 0 of 4 in the red zone. 2 touchdowns that were called back. One from Broderick Jones, hands to the face penalty. One from a George Pickens who, somehow could not get his left foot down. All those kinds of things that just really hurt you. That kept this game close. Had no problem moving the ball. Offensively, it was sound, good game plan, good scheme, good execution in a lot of ways until he got inside the 20, and then things really got bumpy.
Yeah, like it was a force field when you got down there. It seemed like things went wrong at the wrong times within there, and started with you get down there and you had the face mask penalty on Broderick Jones, and I tell you what though, when's the last time you seen a Steelers team move the ball in chunks of yardage like this? This team had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 plays of 10 yards or longer in this one. How many total plays did they run on
63
on offense? Yeah. So what do you got? Almost a third of the plays?
You said 19?
Yeah, 19 offensive plays, and I have penalties extracted from that.
Yes, 30%.
I mean, when's the last time we've talked about anything close to that?
It's been a long time. Killer Bees era.
And obviously you had some runs mixed in there early. The way they were running, who was it? Troy Aikman said on the broadcast early on, the way they're running the football, they might not have to pass pass early on there. And a lot of great things schematically, formationally. Saw quite a few plays with the tight end lineup in the fullback role within this. Solid use of play action right from the start. The only thing that you really didn't see, I thought, obviously haven't gone back with a fine-tooth comb on the offensive line, and there was some negative mixed in throughout the game within that. But boy, when they did hit on certain runs to whatever side, those things seem to be blocked up pretty good. Van Jefferson doing some work on the outside as a blocker. Calvin Austin doing some work on the outside as a blocker. I think he even saw some wind back counter in this in the game on one of these Najee runs. Just a nice mix and all of everything. The only thing you really didn't see in the first half overall that I had noted in my kind of brief notes there was no shots of 20 plus yards, air yards down the field by Russell Wilson in the first half. But I mean, he was hitting, a lot of other stuff underneath there. Another note that I had in the first half was George Pickens had a couple of catches and some nice yak in this. They converted a couple of nice third downs in this situation. A couple, I think, with some screen action. One over to the left hand side, I think, to Jaylen Warren, getting some nice yak on. But in the second half, they had loosened up that defense quite a bit, and then that's when you started to see the shots down the field there. But, main takeaway, I think, is they were, at least in the first half, is they were converting some third downs. They were moving the football. The bad part, obviously, is, those first 3 drives, you're 0-3, and that's when you let teams hang around when you're settling for field goals there. But I think, third down for the game, they were 6 of 13 overall. What were they in the red zone? Ended up being
0 for 4.
0 for 4 in the red zone. So obviously got to clean that up. Got to finish some drives overall. But I mean, at least we're seeing the football matriculated down the field, seeing some chunks. Like I said, man, 19 plays of 10 yards or more. I thought Russell Wilson really felt like he had a really good command of this offense. You go back and you look at that touchdown to Calvin Austin, recognizes the numbers potentially coming, brings Pat Freiermuth into the end of the line of scrimmage to help counteract that. I think that set up a 7-on-6 type situation up front. When you add in Jaylen Warren as protection, they blocked it up absolutely perfectly. You get Calvin Austin one-on-one on slot fade in that situation, beats his man. Russell Wilson dunked that thing right in there for a touchdown. And then, man, the throw that and we've seen a lot of good throws. I mean, you go even this year, you go back to the I'm wound up this morning.
Yeah, I'm letting you go.
You wind back to that Justin Fields throw on that penalty way back in who was it? The Broncos, Denver. I think week 2 that got called back. How we had dropped that one right in the bucket to George Pickens. That ball down the sideline to Pickens. Man, you couldn't run out there and place that thing in his hands in any better than that. That was a Russell Wilson dime right there. So I think in totality you saw one of the keys to this game that I had that I mentioned the other day was no rush from Rust early, and I didn't think he did miss it. There were a couple of obviously incomplete throws in this game, but you didn't get the sense that he was rusty, at least early on. In this one, it felt like he had a really, really good command of the offense and what they were trying to get accomplished. Overall, I thought he made some spectacular throws in this, and really outside of that fumble, which obviously could have been killer late in the game there. I thought it was he was sacked 4 times, I think, for 19 yards, but I thought top to bottom was a very, very good game, very impressive game from Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith.
You need a cold shower now, Dave? I
think man,
I'm
wound up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, hey, I'm all for it here on this Tuesday. So I echo your thoughts. I thought the offense, it felt more fluid in this game than the Jets game. Certainly a faster start in terms of not being as clunky, not having the 3 and outs. Again, not being able to convert in the red zone is the big, red mark on this offense overall. But you felt like you had a good game plan. Everything you called seemed to be working conceptually. You avoided some of those pre-snap penalties and negativity. The run game, I mean, there really wasn't a lot of run game negativity, and you were worried about that going against Lawrence and the Giants and that pretty good D-line. You ran at will on them consistently in this one. Najee Harris ran for $114, his 3rd straight game of 100+ yards. First time he's ever done that in his college or NFL career. Thought he would have done it once at Alabama at the very least, but no. So this is a real heater he's on right now, but the line's blocking it well up front. Harris has just been, and he's always had some of this, but I think more so this year, he's just been a looser runner. He dropped some weight this offseason, got down into the 230s. He's been more fluid. He's always had the hurdle. That's not new, but still impressive to watch. He's got the spin move he showed off in this game. Just has been a more loose type of runner that's gotten a bit of runway and some space and making plays there. And then Russ, everything's working well. The run game and the play pass are married extremely well in this one. Thought Russ made good decisions. And the deep ball took a while to get going. I'm sure the Giants have taken some of that stuff away early, but it was really effective late. Like you said, that throw to Pickens was, I was watching the Manning cast after the game before bed, and they just, Peyton and Eli were just like, whoa, that is a laser from Russell Wilson. Even the back shoulder to Van Jefferson, a great adjustment by Jefferson, but a really good placement where only Jefferson could make the play, the touchdown to Austin, like you said. I think Wilson, certainly it's always hard to really quantify, but you can just tell there's more freedom. Russ has more autonomy to make more checks at the line and change protections. And, he's got a better handle on what defenses are doing pre-snap and what they're showing. The Giants brought pressure on that touchdown pass to Calvin Austin. You keep guys in, you get one-on-one matchups, you throw a good ball, and nice catch there by Austin, who had a huge day and was a big winner of this performance. So just overall, again, you're seeing this offense go to another level and take different steps they haven't shown before, even though they left a ton of points on the board. But you can see where this offense is at, and just as impressively where they can be, that can really turn you from getting in the playoffs to winning a playoff game. That's the big difference.
Man, I tell you, other than, if they can fix some of this red zone stuff and start punching some of these in, if not, Chris Boswell going to need a foot transplant here, the way he's having to kick these field goals. But if you start cleaning up some of this and start getting some of these in the end zone, this is the best I have felt about a Steelers offense. I'm not alone, obviously, in a long time.
2018, probably the last time.
Yeah, and you've got some remnants of some of those, like 2006, 2007, Ben Roethlisberger, when they were going a lot of heavy stuff and using play pass at that point, kind of early on in his career. Just the cerebralness of the quarterback position, I think that you're seeing. A more fluid running game overall. But yeah, I mean, just I can't remember the last time that I felt this good. I mean, after those first couple drives, you just had to be thinking, man, this offense can move the football now. Can they just punch it in the end zone here moving forward? So I think you're starting to see the cohesiveness of this offensive line. Obviously, second game for Ryan McCollum, who, look, he had his hands full in this game, and they did all they could do. They did about as good a job as you could probably do on Dexter Lawrence, because that guy gets paid too, and he's going to eat. And he tossed poor old Ryan McCollum around a couple of times in this game, and then he split Mason McCormick and McCollum on one of them. Obviously, you hope to get Zach Frazier back here after the bye, but liking the use of the play action, obviously, like the ability to less negative plays, specifically in the running game.
How many negative plays of 0 or lost yardage in the run game were there in this one? Is there an easy way to look that up? It didn't feel like much.
Let me sort here, clear that filter.
And to be fair, the Giants came into this one with a pretty poor run defense, even though they have a great plugger in Lawrence. So it's maybe not a huge accomplishment. You're not facing a top tier run stuffing type of unit, but still, I think to avoid that negativity is really critical and something Pittsburgh has struggled with the last 2 years. So to stay on schedule is one big reason why this offense is showing more fluidity. It's why they're putting up 424 yards.
All right, if I eliminate, obviously, the incomplete passes and the kneel down, looks like you had, well, I did the wrong one. Let's see, there we go.
Maybe 3 of no gain is what I'm kind of looking at.
I need to put sacks and okay. Eliminate. You want me to eliminate penalties too?
Yeah, just actual running plays that went for 0 or lost yardage.
Okay. If I could get
I'm thinking maybe only 3.
Let's see. You had Najee for no gain in the second quarter off right guard. You had a sack. You had a Warren up the middle for -3 yards. You had another sack. Najee right tackle for no gain. So that's 3 running plays. You had that pass over to the short left for Najee. That was a negative. You had the Najee up the middle in the fourth quarter at 8:32 for no gain. Another sack. Let me remove sacks out of here. That'll make it easy.
Yeah. Won't count those for what I'm looking and asking for.
And you don't want any pass play. So it was just 4 in total. You had Najee right guard for no gain, Warren up the middle for -3 yards, Najee right tackle for no gain, and then Najee up the middle for no gain. If you remove the 0 gains out, you only had 1 negative yardage run in this one. That was Jalen Warren at 3:44 left in the second quarter.
Not bad overall.
All right. Now, obviously, the sacks count in that, and all his negative plays. But how many times have we come out of games with there being 4, 5, 6 negative yardage plays on runs?
Often, yeah, they ran for $167. I think they run for 140 plus in 3 straight games now. So the run game has been really effective, and that's despite an offensive line with injuries and shuffling and guys playing different spots. But like you said, there is some settling to this line. At least say Malu's been back for several games. You got McCormick settled in at right guard. Even Broderick Jones, despite his continued struggles, at least he's been available and consistent in terms of being there at right tackle. So there's some positivity there, and this offense is really starting to roll.
Yeah, poor Broderick. He can get some things done in the run game. Pass protection, obviously, still a problem with him, and that face mask penalty in this game obviously hurt and took away a touchdown. Overall, poor George Pickens, man, he went from it could have went from a good game to an awesome game. A couple of those touchdowns getting called back on him. I haven't even looked at any grades so far here to see. I didn't figure Mason McCormick would probably grade out all that well, especially in the pass protection department there. Broderick obviously didn't grade out overall. But, look, they had their hands full. There were some pressures allowed in this thing. I thought the run game blocking, though, overall, top to bottom by this line was obviously better. Oh, one of the throws I wanted to highlight that I made sure to go back and look at just on a TV tape alone last night. And it was just like a couple of plays after the 1-2 to the Van Jefferson one, I think the Scotty Miller throw down the sideline. That ended up going almost. It's a tough ball to track because Russ probably could have put that ball out there a little bit further. Because I think Scotty had him stacked pretty much on the outside in there. If Russ puts that out there another foot or two, that's probably completion there. But even so, that thing. I know it was hard for probably Scotty Miller to pick up coming up the way it was dropping in there, but it dropped right through his arms. Not enough where I don't think you call it a drop, but because he obviously didn't get his hands on it, but that thing went right through his arms. So the ball placement, I thought that was obviously placed a little bit better than the Van Jefferson one, which Van had to kind of correct on there, but. Man, it's just so good. And obviously, you didn't see a lot of the football being pushed down the middle of the field. Overall, I don't think the passing chart from Next Gen Stats is up overall, but they obviously attacked more on the edges. And when they did throw more to the middle of the field, it was more within the 10 to 12 range. I know you had the Najee Harris kind of dump off in the middle of the field. I think you caught him in a kind of a cover 2, and I think that on one of those he had a sinking middle linebacker in one of those in there. Nice to get Darnell Washington the ball down the field for him, coming off that the route that he ran and just kind of muscled his way through that route there. That was good to see. They spread the football around for a second consecutive game in this one, right?
8 different Steelers caught a pass.
Yeah, so that was good to see. Even Michael Pruitt got a catch for 10 yards in this overall. It just boils back down once again. You went 6 of 13 on third down. That was a key stat. Unfortunately, you went 0-4 in the red zone, but everything else that you did in this game offensively looks like something to build on. And I think that's going to be a lot of talk on this offense coming out of bias. Yeah, look, this was good, but there's still, this offense can still get better because there's a lot of things that they missed, can clean up overall here. So good on them. Moving the football down the field and just need to get it in the end zone now.
Sure. Just if you theoretically take the 4 red zone trips and add a touchdown instead of a field goal to all of those, that's 16 more points. That gives you 40 in this one. So you really had the potential for a 40 burger and you end up with 26. So there certainly was some meat left on the bone for those who are PFF inclined in terms of how they're ranking the Steelers offensive line from best to worst. Stan Moore Jr. grading out the best, the top 20 offensive linemen of the week, followed by a big gap to Isaac Seumalo, then Ryan McCollum, Roderick Jones, and Mason McCormick with the worst grade of the Steelers front five and a really poor, it's a pass block grade, it looks like, overall in this one. But I think the line, against a good and tough Giants defensive line, did a pretty decent job. McCollum, I thought, held up as well as, like you said, Dave, as well as you could expect. I know in that touchdown that got called back from the Broderick Jones, hands to the face, that was McCollum getting thrown out of the club by Lawrence on that one. And I think he tried the Pat Meyer hop step where you give a bit of ground to try to re-anchor, and that looks good on paper. A little bit tougher when you're facing a guy like Dexter Lawrence, but just clean operationally overall. I mean, there were a couple of false starts. McCollum, the one with a nose tackle, jump into the zone, and McCollum tried to move.
That's forgivable, that one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I get that. That was pretty borderline, I think. So overall, just given the trials and tribulations of this offensive line, all they've kind of been through, I think they've held up as well as you could hope for.
For getting the 2 games out of McCollum that they got against the level of guys that he was going up against up front there, really speaks volumes about what he was able to accomplish. Obviously, you don't want to go through a 17-game season with him, but Mike Tomlin appropriately tipped his hat to Ryan McCollum after the game. Overall, I think for what you were going up against in that front, to get the performance, especially in the run game, I thought the run game blocking, across the board was pretty good overall. Poor Calvin Anderson gets in the ball game on one snap, and I don't know if Najee, you'll have to go back and look at that if he was probably maybe thinking Najee was going to help Chip on that or whatnot. But hopefully this team will get Dylan Cook back after the bye, and Calvin Anderson might not be long for here too much longer on the 53. Go back to the practice squad or something there. But yeah, I mean, for the injuries that they've had on this offensive line, and obviously didn't have Seumalo for the first 4 games, missing Frazier for 2. You had James Daniels going down, got a rookie in there, McCollum taking over, and Broderick Jones hasn't been obviously been playing below the line for most of the season. I mean, you're still able to move the football down the field, both on the ground and through the air. So hopefully they can build on everything that they've done through the first half of the season, and they look in pretty good shape right now.
And with McCollum, even just basics fundamentally, operationally, clean snaps, good protection, being able to shift and slide, not a lot of free runners in terms of missed blitz pickups and those types of things. So it's been important to have Wilson back there, a veteran, but I think he's working really well with McCollum. And so I'm just happy about how clean they've been from that standpoint, especially knowing the issues Pittsburgh has had earlier in the season with even Zach Frazier and Fields and fumble issues and exchange type of stuff. That's not been a problem. Being at home has helped the last 2 weeks for sure, but just really impressed by that. It's expected, but it's important to have, and Pittsburgh has not always had it this year. Russ in the second half, they fumble aside, which was costly, obviously, but TJ Watt getting the ball right back. 2 games as a starter in the second half. He's completing 76% of his passes, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a quarterback rating of 146.7. Compare that to the first half, was completing about 55% of his passes, quarterback rating of 91 and change. And so second half Russ is really feeling it right now.
Yeah. What was he in the second half completion percentage? What did he go in the second half?
Of this game or of the two?
Or I mean, yeah, this one overall.
I think he was 8 of 9 in this game. And he's 16 to 21 in his two starts.
All right, and I will let you know that through 2 games, it's a small sample size. It's going to come down. I want to warn folks, it's going to come down. If it doesn't, they're going
Super Bowl, baby.
But through 2 games, even with he's been sacked. He sacked 4 times last night, right? And 4 times, and 1 time in the game previously. There, he has an adjusted net yards per passing attempt number of 9.34. And I said, like, man, just get us to 6.2, 6.3. So we got a 3.0 kind of leeway there with him through 2 games. And look, I mean, that's not sustainable up there, but man, if you can rock this thing at 7 on average moving forward here, that means that they're getting. That means the ball's moving down the football field either through the air or after the catch, and or it was the case last night, a little bit of both. I think one thing that we talked about a couple of games ago, at least before Russ took over, was the yards after the catch. You're starting to see a little bit more of that out of this offense, and that's hidden yardage in this thing. He has not thrown an interception, technically yet, which is obviously good. Should probably have a couple more touchdowns within there. The picket. When's the last time you seen something like that happen? With a foot touch essentially twice, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just. I question and marvel at the way that George Pickens' body moves, in some good ways, in some negative ways overall. That's what the second time he's had an issue getting both feet down on plays where it feels impossible to do so. Remember the Titans game last year was not a push-out situation, but couldn't get to the left foot down and had a touchdown taken off the board. A similar situation, a great play by the Giants to push him out. But yeah, pretty improbable, but it is a reminder the rule is both feet, not 2 feet, and we found that out firsthand last night.
Should 2 feet equal 1 foot?
I like
to say too. One
cheek,
one cheek equal 1 foot or something like that.
Yeah, I think 1 cheek equals 2 feet was the ruling or something like that. No, I think you got to get both down. I'm good with left and right.
Yeah, just an unfortunate in a situation, good hit by the defense there to force him out overall. Great route that he ran to on the other touchdown that was taken away coming across the formation to the back of the end zone. Unfortunately, that one didn't stand due to the Broderick Jones penalty there. So, look, from what we've seen out of this offense for the last several years, right now, clean it up a little bit more, bury this ball in the end zone, and they should be able to. This isn't the last time I don't think that we've seen them score over 25 points in a game.
Yeah, I don't either. What I also really like post game, and this is some of the intangible stuff you get from a veteran Super Bowl winner like Russ, is that there's still this calm, hey, we're not Super Bowl champs yet kind of feeling, talking post game. Like, we're not satisfied with 6-2. We didn't come into the season to hang banners to be 6-2. I forget the exact wording that Wilson used, but talked about, celebrate this moment, enjoy this moment, but we got a lot on the other side. We got to get back to work here. So there's still a steadiness. And to be fair, Fields certainly brought a lot of calm and even keeledness, but there's just something a little bit different when it comes from a guy like Russell that has done it all the good, all the bad, Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl loser, those experiences. You kind of feel that when he talks about and put things in perspective. And so there's like I said, perspective element that Russ brings to this team, I think needs for a pretty young offense still overall.
And obviously you had the one turnover by Russ in this one, but I mean, if the last several games or really the season as a whole, if you're not turning the football over in a game and you're getting takeaways on the other side, and you're able to move the football in the manner that you've moved it the last couple of games specifically. and you got the defense that you have, you're going to win some ball games. So definitely something to be excited for. As a stay, I just can't state enough coming out, going into the bye week with what this offense, where it looks to be right now.
They are plus 10 in turnover differential on the season. That is tied for second best in the NFL with Detroit, only behind Buffalo at plus 11. They've only given the ball away, turned it over 5 times this entire season. I think that's obviously one of the better numbers in football. Only the Bills, Commanders, who they'll see in week 10, and Chargers have fewer giveaways this year. So that's been the model. Pittsburgh has had a positive turnover differential, I think, every year since maybe 2019. I think 2018, last time they were negative in that category. And that is so instrumental to winning football games, period, but winning them especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So yeah, I think they were +1 last night. And so got 2 big takeaways late in that game that helped make up for that Russ fumble.
Yeah. What are they for the season?
Plus 10.
Okay. Plus 10. All right.
Yeah, really, really good place to be there. So let me just ask you one last question from a negative standpoint. Assuming that Dylan Cook is healthy for week 10, would you consider making a change with Broderick Jones? Because it still has been really bad, even to the point where Duke Manyweather, the well-known O-line trainer, kind of guru, who we both have a lot of respect for, really kind of called him out and said he's too talented to acting like he hates football this much and be struggling this much. And Manyweather is typically a pretty optimistic, positive guy, wants to support his fellow offensive linemen, and Jones struggles continue in a pretty meaningful way. Would you consider a change there, or do you just try to roll it out and keep going with Broderick Jones and hope it gets better?
What do I think? What I think you just got to try to work him through it. Be honest with you.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Just the technique is such a mess right now. The hands to the face, like he's got to know, when the quarterback rolls out and that D lineman at the end peels away, got to let him go. You just can't try to block him anymore, because you can't. You're either going to get a holding call, which happened in that Pickens play you referenced earlier, or hands to the face, or something's going to go wrong there. So I know it's tough when the quarterback bails, and Russ was right to bail because the pocket was collapsing. That was the play that McCollum got knocked off his feet, but you got to let him go on that one. It's just been too costly with Broderick.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Dave, any other thoughts here offensively in this game?
No.
All right, defensively, certainly the issue in this one was run defense, and something about those mobile quarterbacks. Pittsburgh has some more trouble where the backside players have to respect the mesh point a bit more and can't be as involved in the run. And I just didn't think Pittsburgh overall was as physical at the line of scrimmage as they've been all season long. But the Giants were consistently winning, opening up holes. I got to watch the all 22, but I mean, what they gave up was surprising. Tyrone Tracy Jr., second most rushing yards by a rookie ever against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had $145 in this one, could have had more until he got hurt late in this one. Only Leonard Fournette has more in a game as a rookie against Pittsburgh when he ran for that 90-yard touchdown. His rookie, whatever it was, 2017. He finished with $180 in that game. So Pittsburgh's run defense surprisingly poor in this one.
Yeah, they were giving up some yards in this game, specifically not only on the ground, but we talked about this the other day as well in the preview. Man, when the Giants kind of hit some of those runs, they were kind of quick hitters with the back, kind of getting hit in the hole and kind of between the tackles, obviously on that, and they were getting kind of pushed around. The linebackers having problems getting off blocks, and it's going to be interesting to look at from the end zone view to see what went wrong. I mean, it's so hard to tell on the TV tape overall what went wrong, who wasn't fitting, maybe where they needed to be in certain situations there. So I'm the good thing is with this being a bye week, no Mike Tomlin on Tuesday, not much going on from a media aspect there. We'll be able to start really digging into this tape on both sides of the ball to kind of see what happened overall. But man, they were giving up chunks of yardage on the ground. Even gave up a couple early. You had Slayton even before halftime, I think, had 90 yards receiving on a couple of big plays. Overall, the good thing is the saving grace was is you were holding them. The Giants were doing their part with some penalties as well, too. They were shooting themselves in the foot, but at least you were holding them to field goals in this game, just like your offense wasn't able to get touchdowns in this game. That was a saving grace. And fortunately, in the second half, boy, the third, I don't want to jump too far ahead here, but this team has not given up a point in the third quarter of a game this year. How impressive is that? And then the pass rush started to heat up. They didn't have any sacks in the first half there, even though Alex Highsmith sure seemed to have Chris Hubbard in the blender right from the start in this one. They were able to get more pressure and start to make at least more plays in passing type situations on a defensive side of football in the second half of this game. But I think that was the thing that you're hearing out of the defensive players after the game here is they need to look at this. They need to take the bye week, take a hard look, and start shoring up some of this stuff specifically against the run.
Yeah, hopefully a one-off thing. I mean, I think it's correctable. I mean, Pittsburgh's been healthy overall, so I think it just, they just didn't have a good game, and it's not acceptable. Has to get cleaned up, but I'm not showing necessarily long-term concern over it. But yeah, I mean, the Giants were able to be multidimensional, and that was really critical in this one. I mean, they came into this game really not even trying to run against teams, let alone not having a ton of success, and they were able to have some balance in this one, which really helped them considering their beat-up offensive line. And yeah, starting Chris Hubbard at left tackle, his first game this year. I think that was his first career start at left tackle in his long NFL career, and certainly looked every bit of it as Highsmith was really winning early and often and had just so many almost sacks in the first half. In the second half, you were able to finish some of those plays, get Jones on the ground, and create some takeaways. And that's a story where the Giants had yards, but they didn't always have points, and they came away often empty-handed with those two crucial turnovers late, the TJ Watt strip sack fumble, the Beanie Bishop interception that officially sealed the deal. And so that's how you got to win in the NFL, Dave. Situational football. Be good on third down, be good in the red zone, take the football away. Pittsburgh did all three of those things.
Here's what I wrote my 5 keys. No early rust from Russ. Limit the sexy from Dexy. Diminishing Dashing Danny. Which I think that kind of it's going to be interesting because I think they were so worried maybe at some points of some of them zone reads. I know one of those Alex Highsmith was really protecting the outside on one of those potential kind of zone reads or whatnot.
And that was the Tracy run where he cut it back and popped it.
Yeah, you could drive a truck through through that one there. But overall, I think Daniel Jones had what, maybe two really, one keeper went nowhere. One design quarterback draw went absolutely nowhere early. I think in the first half of this game here. But overall, they did a good job of limiting Daniel Jones' feet in this game. So I thought that was a key going into this game. And then remember us talking about the heavy right side run focus. I haven't looked at the stats, but it felt like the Steelers ran well to the right side of their offensive line. And the last one I had was Highsmithing the left tackle. Because we didn't know if Josh Azudu or Chris Hubbard was going to start this. To me, it didn't matter. Whoever got to start in this game, I thought Alex Highsmith had a tasty matchup in this, and he did. Boy, he had Chris Hubbard in a blender right from the start. See a lot of spin moves in there and everything from Alex Highsmith. So it was good to see him have a good game. We actually saw TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith switch sides in this game, and that's something I think Alex Highsmith talked about after the game that they knew that they probably going to have to do moving forward. So I don't think we've seen the end of that with Highsmith and Watt switching sides. And boy, what can you say about TJ Watt, especially later on in that game? 2 back-to-back plays. You had Daniel Jones trying to escape the pocket on one of them. He got him by the shoe top there and took him down. That was a big play in and of itself. And then you turn around and follow it up with the strip sack, fumble recovery, just back-to-back plays later on in the game that really made a difference in this.
And that is why he's TJ Watt, not just because he gets sacks, but he makes those plays and gets sacks in critical moments. And those are critical moments. And yeah, it's a great point, Dave. I was rewatching just highlights on that game, I think on the Manning cast actually last night. And I'm doing that series on that forgotten play that people forget about that really changed the tide of the game. And I think that track down, that retrace the Watt had on Daniel Jones to trip him up one play before that strip sack fumble is going to be my choice in this one, because if Watt doesn't make that play, I don't know exactly how much room Jones has, but he's certainly got some room. He probably gets a first down, and who knows how the rest of the story goes. So that was a critical play there, and those two plays really sum up TJ Watt, his effort, his athleticism, and then the next play with a great technique to dip or rip under a Luminor and take the football away and find it and recover it too. So I know the comments that Illuminor had earlier in the week are getting a lot of play about him wanting to be on an island with TJ Watt, and was on an island on that play, and Watt had that one. So Illuminor is a good player, and credit to him. I don't want to beat him up too much here. I think he's a good player. It's really progressed throughout his career. But when you make those comments about a guy like TJ Watt, the internet does not forget about those things, Dave.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then the interception to seal it from Beanie Bishop, which was that tip play there where Porter almost had it and Beanie finds it. So 3 picks in 2 games for Beanie. And hey, Isaiah Lattimore got pressure on that one. That's the guy that really put Jones in a panic. He didn't want to take a sack there late in the game, no timeouts, clock running, and sailed that pass to the running back, and Beanie picked it off. So I was always about to be mad at Tomlin when he didn't call timeouts. When you got Watt and Highsmith on the sideline, you got all your backups in, and Moon, Ogundeji, and Loudermilk. I said, call a timeout there, let you guys get a breather and keep Watt and Highsmith in. But those guys made a play, and big time stuff there.
Yeah, good to see, especially with some of those backups in there, like you said. And it felt the second half they were starting to get things a little figured out. They're still giving up, some chunks in the passing game. You go back and you look at that early play in this one as well, too, to Slayton. They had, play action. Daniel Jones did a good job in a single high man type situation of moving, keeping Minkah Fitzpatrick held to the other side of the field. It seemed like their goal in this was to mainly try to pick on Dante Jackson. It felt like, at least through the TV tape in this one. They were able to hit on some plays on down the field. They probably should have had a few more. Overall, I think there was a couple of drops, and then Neighbors in the end zone on one of them was out of bounds, and also if you look at which unit probably needs to clean things up more coming out of this game. I mean, I know we talk about the offense and the red zone and all like that, but and look, the Steelers were able to keep the score on the scoreboard down, and that's, obviously the big thing that counts. How many times have we talked about, if you keep the opposition to 17, 18 points, you're probably going to win some games. So they got to the overall goal. It just didn't look pretty along the way. Overall from a defensive perspective there. So you definitely want to see them clean up, especially the stuff on the ground. That was very concerning. The 40-something yard run for a touchdown was concerning. They had, I think the Giants had something like 6 or 7 explosive plays in total in this one, if I'm correct. You got to clean up some of that, but it was good to see some of the big plays when you needed them the most in this game. That interception obviously being one of them for Beanie to seal it.
Yeah, it's one of those Mike Tomlin hot dog ingredients you don't want to find out about that look a little bit poor, as opposed to when you just look and say, okay, you held the team to 18 points. That's pretty good overall. But watching the game, certainly some more negativity you feel than the box score might suggest. Yeah, Beanie Bishop Jr., my stat of the week of the day, Dave. Since the merger, only 2 Steeler undrafted rookies have had 3 interceptions in a season. That is Beanie Bishop Jr. and Tony Dungy, 1977. Only 2, Dungy and Beanie Bishop. So pretty cool there. Yeah, it was a tip pass, but right place, right time. Find the ball, make the play, finish it. Beanie's fun to watch on that celebration. He's looks like a little kid running around. That just made me laugh about that. But he's feeling it right now. So kudos to him.
Yeah, you're getting him to grow up in the middle part of this season right now at the right times. Obviously made some look, I was not gonna lie, I was concerned about him in that Jets game, and I talked about that after the game and ahead of the game, how I was concerned about him and how he made some key plays in that Jets game. And he's gonna be in situations where they try to rub them off like they did in man situations, especially when you're looking at 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and they effectively. You got to make a choice in those situations, right? You either go under or go over, and either way, it was going to be a first down in those situations when they motion guys across. So the good thing about Beanie is it looks like he's just got such a short memory. Overall, move on to the next play and go for there. The thing that he has shown throughout this thing that showed up on his college tape is a very physical player, and he's got some ball skills as well too. That you remember from his college days, and you add those things together, you get him a lot more comfortable in this defense. He's probably going to be in a position to make more plays like he's made these last couple of weeks here. I don't know that I had Beanie Bishop down as having 3 interceptions through the midway point of the season, but you'll definitely take that for sure. And you got Cameron Sutton hopefully coming back here after the bye week now, and you can probably have some fun mixing and matching and continue his progress of maturing at the NFL level, talking about Beanie Bishop moving forward here.
Yeah, excited for where he's going and where Sutton can help, especially in those dime packages. Probably going to be some usefulness there and some post-snap rotations, and Sutton just being uber versatile. Some other odds and ends, just some thoughts. Like you said, Dante Jackson, his worst game of the season in coverage as a tackler. I think probably similar could be said about Deshaun Elliott as a tackler on that Tracy touchdown run. Just Elliott looked lost and slow to key the football, kind of got stuck behind Queen, but was unblocked, and just a poor play there. Minka Fitzpatrick, that big breakup he had on Slayton on the sideline, the cover 2 hole shot, just perfect technique there. Such a good technician on those hits, just to play clean and separate play from football. Tough to do under these NFL rules that legislate a lot, understandably so, but a great play there. And hey, would you trade for Darius Slayton? Dude showed his speed, made some plays. I mean, he's got a good look at him. Giants are 2-6. I'm sure they're going to sell. Might be your top guy.
Yeah, got a contract that you can work with. We obviously talked to Dan Duggan the other day there, and he seems to think that they're going to sell. And a lot of teams have already made some moves at this point. It wouldn't be a bad ad, that's for sure. And he can get that. He can definitely stretch the field. Good kind of possession guy as well. I think one thing noted, kind of even going into this game is his ability to get some nice separation on some of those comebacks as well too. I think he works back to the ball reasonably well. He'd probably like to get a chance to at least make a run at the playoffs and increase his free agent value on top of it. So if you can indeed, like Dan said, get him for, a 6th or a 7th, or, heck, swap a 6 for a 5th or something like that.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? And you did get a good long look at him in this game as well too. And yeah, like we've said throughout this thing, and it seems like every week there's a new flavor of wide receiver or whatnot that we're potentially talking about this team trading for. You got to make these phone calls, and the list obviously is dwindled. Christian Kirk going down injury. I think Slayton's a better fit than Kirk overall in this offense. I feel like you could probably move him around a little bit more, even use him on the outside, probably a little bit better. In the slot as well too. I think he's just a more versatile guy. Why wouldn't you call?
Yeah, I think you got to make a move still. Van Jefferson, hey, kudos to him. Good game. Cameron Austin, good game. But let's add more weapons, add more firepower. Slayton speed for this vertical passing game is going to fit well. Give you another threat on the outside. I'm all for that. So will it happen? We'll see. But deadline's coming up here November 5th. You see a team like the Chiefs that they see a problem, they fix the problem. They go out there, they trade for Hopkins right after losing their receivers. They trade for Josh Uche to give them some more edge help. So I know they are true Super Bowl contenders, and Pittsburgh may not be viewed in that same camp, but you're in a position where you feel like you're 6-2. You can win. You can make a run. You're in a good spot. Got to make a move here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you got obviously got Roman Wilson. That would go into IR. That would, is Brandon Johnson out of elevations now?
He is, yes.
All right. So, and you could still dress your, it'd be interesting to see when Cordell Patterson comes back, if who doesn't get it, maybe a potential helmet as a wide receiver moving forward here. But I mean, you could obviously make it work and still dress, all 25 of those tight ends on top of it.
Right. I mean, Scotty Miller, I like Scotty Miller,
right.
But dude has 2 catches and none since the Chargers game. Do you need Scotty Miller on your 53 right now? No.
No, I mean, at worst, you can make him inactive.
Right.
If you kept him on the 53 there. So be interesting to see. And look, a bye week, you can get a guy like Slayton integrated and up to speed, kind of quick and ready for the second half of the season. So we'll have to see what kind of moves, if any, this team makes in this next week here.
Yeah, just last thought, Daniel Jones. Thought he had a good game overall. He was reading the single high coverages. The Pittsburgh predominantly ran effectively, moving Minkah Fitzpatrick, getting some good downfield throws. So didn't have super gaudy numbers, but we talked about him being a better quarterback on the road than at home, and I think he kind of showed that again in this game.
Yeah, I wonder what we're going to see as far as staticness goes, as far as the Steelers defense in the second. I know a couple of times they were kind of rotating. I think at one point Aikman said, well, even though they didn't, they ended up sinking the safety back on one of them. I think more of a cover 2 type situation. But I'm wondering what the all 22 is going to show as far as maybe overall staticness, because this team doesn't blitz a lot, right? They're predominantly either cover 3 or cover 1, I think. You mix in some quarters or cover 6 in with that on occasion there. I just wonder what we're going to see as far as staticness goes.
Yeah, we'll have to check the tape on that one, but Jones was reading things well overall. And I just have to mention it because I rarely discuss it, but it was driving me up a wall. And you mentioned his name. Can Troy Aikman stop talking about the Malik Neighbors illegal motion, not getting set in time? He talked about that for like 10 minutes. Dude, it was a penalty. Give it a rest. It was crazy.
Yeah, I kind of wondered if he took the points.
Honestly, I mean, I like Aikman. He's fine, but dude, just stop talking about it every 4 seconds.
What did you think about the roughing? Really, on Highsmith.
I mean, they didn't get a great view of it. The replay was kind of out of frame, but if anything, it would have been on Watt, not Highsmith. Like Highsmith just kind of fell into him, but I didn't see anything that I could tell was a penalty. But I think it was washed out because I think Porter had a DPI on Neighbors on that deep ball left sideline. I know people will fight me on it; they already did, but he was grabbing Neighbors' hand. That should have been a call. So to me, all kind of
their feet
out.
Got a little bit tangled up, I think, but he did kind of have hold of that hand down the sideline there.
Yeah. So. Oh, well, but Giants penalized 11 times in this one. Like you said, Dave, that was a big difference. A lot of sloppiness there. Now, I think one of those was actually intentional where they put 12 men on the field to get a first down for Pittsburgh in that fourth quarter to try to work the clock. But still, overall, 11 penalties for the Giants, some backbreakers in this one. And that 2-point conversion play, I have no idea what the intent was in that one. And kudos to Highsmith. Make another play that Highsmith made in that game there to blow that one up. The Giants clearly were not practicing that one. At least it did not look as good as they maybe practiced it.
When things like that work, you go, "Oh wow, how creative! What a great play!" But it's definitely result bias. But sometimes, obviously, coaches, I think, kind of get a little bit too cute, and that looked like a mess.
Yeah, it looked like the Colts, Pat McAfee failed fourth down play against the Patriots many, many years ago. So I don't know. The swinging gate teams use it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but certainly I think the Giants fans are not huge fans of it either.
Let's see. Gave up 394 total net yards in this game. You gave up 5 of 15 on third down, which at its core, 33% isn't bad. One play that I thought that I had posted on Twitter that I thought, oh Lord, I hope we don't have to circle this one and come back in a negative fashion, was that third and where is it in this game? It was like a 3rd and 16 in the fourth quarter with 11:56 left, where he hit Neighbors deep left side for 16 yards, right at the sticks in front of Joey Porter. And I think even Aikman, one of them said, that's kind of a situation where you want your wide receiver to work back to the football, and he didn't, and he got away. I kind of wondered at that point, because the Steelers at that time were up. They were up, what were they, 23-9 at the point. And if they don't convert at that point, you're probably thinking, man, ball game's maybe about over. But they not only did they convert 2 plays later after that, they got that 45-yard touchdown run by Tracy, and I had that one in red highlight, wondering if we're going to have to come back and talk about it in a more negative fashion. But you gave up the net yards that you gave. Fortunately, with the Giants and their penalties and their ineffectiveness in the red zone, it didn't. You kept the score down to 18. And how many times over the years do we hear Keith Butler talk about keeping it to 17 or 18, and you're going to win some ball games? And that's ultimately what they did.
Right. Ultimately, the victory in 6-2 is 6-2. How about that third down drop? The Neighbors had the following possession. That could have gone for a long way, had to settle for a field goal instead that made it, 26-18. So Giants played some sloppy football, but that's why they're 2-6 and really taking a hard look at themselves right now.
All right.
Special teams. Yeah, say it together in unison. Calvin Austin, have yourself a day. Kudos to him. 73-yard punt return touchdown. The first Steelers punt return score since Deontay Johnson, his rookie year in 2019 against the Arizona Cardinals. Great job catching it right hash, running left, getting some good blocks from Rodney Williams and company, and showing off that speed to house that one. So Austin, 2 touchdowns in this one, 29-yard catch and 73-yard punt return. And that Austin punt return was the first touchdown that stood in this game and helped break this thing open. And a lot of players post-game, Pickens and others, referring to that as a catalyst in this one. So good for Calvin Austin. Kudos to him.
Yeah, I would like to go back and, I know they showed the replay. What'd you think? Was that running into or roughing in that situation on Moon, on the plant foot and all? I know it's really questionable. I'm sure, I haven't looked at Twitter. I'm sure the Giants fans are up in arms potentially over that one. But and I think you said that was the first punt return for a touchdown since Deontay versus the Cardinals. That one was on the road. I think that was the first at-home punt return for a touchdown since AB against the Colts, hugging the goalpost, wasn't it?
Juke and McAfee, I think so. Yeah, 4 of the Steelers' last 5 punt return touchdowns have been in prime time. Something about the bright lights is good for Pittsburgh and punt returns, but yeah, that was a huge play there, and special teams making more splash. No, you're almost disappointed they didn't block a field goal or a punt in this one. That's gotten to the level of expectation of where we think Pittsburgh can be at, which is awesome. But you made splash in other ways, and that was a huge play. So Danny Smith forever. Say it with me.
Yeah, Danny Smith forever. And boy, he was pumped up. We got a double fist bump, didn't we, out of that one there? So good on them there. Let's see what Corliss Waitman continues to make himself some money, doesn't he?
Yeah, punted well, 2 inside the 20. That one 53-yard net, pinning that one of the Giants' right sideline. Pierre had great coverage and the tackle there for a 2-yard return. So what is Waitman's average for the season? I mean, it's not super, super gaudy like some other punters in this warmer climate, but 46.8 yards per punt, 41.8 net. Good stuff overall.
Yeah, good on him. Boy, especially losing, you lost Cameron Johnson, and you were excited about him early on in the season, and to have a guy like Waitman come in and do what he's done, that's huge.
And then Chris Boswell, we take it for granted 4 for 4 automatic, 23 field goals this year. That's tied for the most in football. He is still on pace to comfortably beat David Akers' record for most field goals in a single season. He's on pace, Boswell is, for 48. Now, so is Austin Siebert, the man he's tied with in first place. I think Brendan Aubrey's on a good streak too, but we're on record watch right now for Chris Boswell. Again, we would hope to get some more touchdowns to avoid that stat, but that is the stat, and Bos is still keeping the team in it when the offense is unable to convert.
Yeah, let's make it let's decrease the workload a little bit on Boswell in the second half of the season here.
Yeah, you said foot transplant earlier, and I get your point, but that foot he has been golden, and it has been impressive. I know there was no crazy long field goal, but I don't take any field goal for granted in this one, and so kudos all around. Only that one miss, that 60 plus on the year.
All right,
Dave. Any other odds and ends? Did you watch back the Manning cast at all? I watched it back after the game. Some interesting commentary. Lawrence Taylor giving TJ Watt some props. A small comment, but still cool to see. Bill Cowher talking in the fourth quarter. That was kind of fun to watch him. Watch TJ Watt in Pittsburgh close the door late in this one. Also, it's funny to watch on the Watt strip sack fumble. Eli Manning talking about that play pre-snap, and you saw the tight end on the other side who ended up chipping on Alex Highsmith on that play. And Eli's like, hey, can we ship this tight end over to TJ Watt? Can we? And then the face on him as Jones lost the football was peak Eli moment. So pretty funny stuff there.
All right. I'll have to go back and watch that. Did Bill, I know a lot of people don't like Bill Belichick, but man, that guy not being the head coach and being an analyst is fantastic to hear him talk. I think he's great in the first half of those Manning casts. Did he have anything insightful? I'm sure he did. I mean, did he pick anything out that in the first half of the Manning cast that caught your attention when you went through it?
Nothing.
Belichick?
Yeah, nothing crazy. I mean, it was solid. I mean, he talked about the good relationship he has with Bill Cowher, and Cowher said the same about him whenever he was on in the fourth quarter. But once LT came on, like in the second quarter, Belichick just fangirled the entire time over Lawrence Taylor. That's his favorite player of all time, and obviously coached him with the Giants. They talked about that a ton. So once LT came on screen, Belichick was kind of less concerned about what the Steelers and Giants were doing.
Some of those guests, especially like the stars and all like that they have on that, I could personally do without. Now, sometimes when they have the current players or former players on there in the second half, there's some decent analysis on there. But if it was up to me, it would be the three of them. It'd be Belichick and the two Mannings the whole show. Because I can't get enough of the X's and O's. I know you're the same way, and I think Belichick offer some great analysis within that. So I won't get my wish, I don't think, but I would be all up for just the three of those guys. And I understand why they do it. They want to attract kind of a little bit of a wider audience with some of these stars and all like that. But if it were up to me, it would just be the three of those guys doing the whole game.
Yeah, it's a fun production. I think they do a good job with it. They do some kind of different funny type things. So it's certainly less serious, but also has some good football stuff in there as well.
We're probably not too far away. Hopefully I live long enough for it because during, like bowl season and all, you have those game casts where it's the all 22 and you have those, the coaches and all sit down and breaking it down.
Which is awesome. Super
cool. It is. And I, maybe we'll get to a point where you buy, obviously they'd probably charge for it, but you get a full game of all 22 with a guy like, Belichick or whomever breaking it down as it goes real time. I think that would be something, at least, after the fact, to be able to watch it too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I know they're doing the breakdown. Peyton and Bill Belichick, they have their show. They broke down Russell Wilson's play action earlier this week before the Giants game. So some good quality content out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Dave, any other final thoughts in this game? 6-2, first place. Again, Ravens-Bengals play Thursday night. Let's root for the Bengals in this one. If the Ravens drop to 5-4 or 6-2, yes, you have your entire division slate still to be played, including both games against the Ravens. So by no means have you wrapped up the division. Things can quickly change. Teams can make up a bunch of ground. But I mean, I know they could have beat the Colts. They could have beat the Cowboys. Probably should have beat both teams. But if you told me at the bye, Alex, they're 6-2, the offense is humming, the defense is top 5, you signed me up all day for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we said before, or coming out of the Jets game, reevaluate your expectations of this team, and the way this all look. My biggest, I'll say it over and over again. My biggest fear about this team heading into the season was the quarterback position. Even though I was excited to see Russell Wilson come out of shoot as potentially the starting quarterback, well, that obviously didn't happen. Even being excited about that, I was curious about how the quarterback position would go for this team, and that's where my head was at with giving this team a 9-8 preseason prediction here with this team, and then not winning a playoff game. Now that we've got to where we're at, and look, we thought the defense would be fine overall. You hate to see them play the way that they did against the Giants, but they still kept the score down overall. That obviously wasn't a concern of mine here. But now with 2 games with Russell Wilson under center, looking just at the general health of this team and how we think that this team might get healthier, at least coming out of the bye here, and the offense, moving the football. You do at this point, or at least I do, have to reevaluate my preseason predictions and expectations with this team. I mean, you're already at 6 wins. You have to think at this point, at the second half of the season, something drastic would have to, it feels like, happen for them not to at least get 4 more wins out of this. I mean, and that puts you at 10 wins right there, and 10 wins should get you in the tournament. At least it feels like. You lead the AFC North right now. You've got all 6 AFC North games still yet to go. I'm calling timeout here and saying, this looks to be a playoff team at this point, and it looks like a lot can happen, but it feels like a team that's got a very good chance to not only win 1 game, but maybe a couple in the playoffs.
I'm always reminded of the Vegas preseason over/under win-loss predictions, and it's 8.5 this year. And it just feels like easy money every year to take the over on that. And certainly you're at 6-2 right now. They're gonna win more than 8 games. Obviously, they're gonna be at least a 9 win, and I'm sure hopefully even better than that. And they're at least,
feels like it'd be. I mean, let's be honest, it'd be a huge disappointment if they only go 9-8 right now.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that means they really had a bad time against the AFC North. Then I had the stat in the offseason. They're 500 or better in the division every single year since 2003, the longest such streak in the NFL. So let's just assume they go worst case scenario with 3-3 in the AFC North. Okay, that puts them at 9-5 with 2 games against the Eagles and Chiefs. You split one of those, some way, somehow you're a 10-win team in that situation. So, and then you got Washington too, and let's just assume you beat them, you're 11 wins. So my prediction this year was 10-7. 10 feels like the floor right now for this team.
And you had the team making the playoffs, but not winning a playoff game?
Correct. 10-7, wild card, not winning the division, 1 and done, and that's looking shakier and shakier by the day.
Well, I didn't even have them win a playoff game, so.
Yeah, but I mean, the offense at a level that we didn't expect. The number 2 ranked scoring defense, number 15 ranked scoring offense officially after week 8, with arguably one of the best special teams units collectively in the NFL, a penchant for winning close games. It's a recipe for success.
Yeah, and you look at the landscape of, the Chiefs are obviously the Chiefs. The Ravens are going to win more ball games moving forward. Buffalo is playing ball. The Texans are going to be there when the smoke clears, it feels like. But other than that, who
you take the Broncos seriously?
I think they can win some games. They obviously had the Broncos played the Chiefs yet?
I'll have to check. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think they're 5-3 on the year.
They have not, so they still got to play. The Broncos still have to play the Chiefs twice. here. They still have the Broncos still have to play.
They got
Look,
Baltimore
I mean,
week 9.
yeah, they and they got a rookie quarterback that's still going to have he's looking good as of late, but there's still probably going to be some ups and downs for the Broncos. So even if they get in, I wouldn't expect them to make noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I apologize. I misspoke. It's the Bengals and Ravens Thursday night in week 10. It's not the coming week. I got my dates mixed up. So Baltimore's going to play Denver this Sunday. Who do the Bengals have this Sunday? So I must have read that wrong. Bengals have the Raiders. So games you would expect the Bengals and Ravens to be favored in, but still Pittsburgh, no matter what, will be leading the North coming into week 10.
And the Jets. The Jets I still think the Jets are a good team. I
don't know how you can think that anymore. I get it. Like they're a good team on paper.
From a talent perspective, it just
it's a culture issue, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely. But they to let the Patriots sneak up and bite them. Just seems like it's every week, with something with them, and we'll see if they're able to overcome this and get back into the playoff race as well.
All right, Dave, let's get to some reader emails and close out today's show.
All right. Start from Jason here. What is your overall assessment of Joey Porter Jr.'s play? It always seems like he is just next to a receiver when they catch the ball, and then he throws his hands up like, what am I supposed to do? I feel like he is not aggressive enough with the ball in the air. He tackles better coming downhill on a running back. Then when he hits wide receivers down the field, does he play soft? Thanks for the coverage. Enjoy the bye week. You guys and the site have earned it. I haven't even other than, the TV tape, I haven't looked at him hard coming out of this game. What's your overall thoughts on Joey Porter Jr. from going into this game, at least?
I mean, I think he's been good overall. I mean, it's been a little up and down, but such is life as a corner, especially a number one that often faces the opposing number one. The tackling, I think, is still improved overall from where it was at as a rookie. He's never going to be a big interception type of guy, but he's taken away some number one receivers: Drake London, Cortland Sutton, CeeDee Lamb. Neighbors didn't have a huge impact in this one. They got into some matchups on Dante Jackson, so I'm happy overall. A lot happier than the Giants are about their first round corner in Deonte Banks, and I don't know if he got benched or whatever the case was, but I think Porter's playing pretty well.
Yeah, I do as well. I'll have to look at this tape, but I didn't get he had that one that we just talked about getting caught in front of him. But he almost had that interception at the end of the game. It was him and Beanie right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was those two. And Porter's lack of great ball skills can be on display there, although he had that great pick against the Cowboys. But overall, I mean, I think they're asking a good amount from him. I think he's doing a pretty good job.
Cordell Carter writes in, yes, we got the win. Yes, we had some splash sprinkled in there, but giving up 150 yards on the ground to a fifth-round running back and several big plays to a mediocre quarterback does not inspire confidence, he says. Good thing the Giants are the Giants. Stupid penalties or we'd be 5-3. Cordell's going to play Debbie Downer today. Has a transition from Blitzburg to supposedly a safer defense taken away our bite defensively? Look, we talked a lot about you can't give up the yardage on the ground. So we'll see if they can get this fixed after the bye week there. They did give up some explosive plays down the field and got in that situation there. I'm less concerned about the quote unquote Blitzburg, them blitzing as much as I am maybe doing a better job of not being so static, maybe on the back end, something we'll have to look at again from the all 22 from this game. But let me tell you, when you've got guys in that front seven that had the ability to make plays, and especially in second half of games like this, he had Highsmith and Watt. You had Landon Roberts coming down, a couple more Deshaun Elliott crashing down and making some either TFLs or run stops in there. The tackling obviously wasn't great overall in this one. My concern about this team not being a heavy blitzing team isn't where it's at, especially coming out of this game. I think the biggest point that Cordell points out here is you can't give up the amount of yards on the ground that you gave up, and you're going to get got a couple of times by some quarterbacks through the air, and that happened with Daniel Jones in this one. You hate to see that third down converted against them at a key portion in this game here. But when you back it up once again, and the Giants played into it with the penalties. That goes without saying here. You gave up 18 points on the board.
You do wonder when you face some more high octane offenses how it'll look. They've not really faced a great offense in retrospect this year. The Cowboys probably the best unit overall that they faced. Washington will be a really good test with the way that they're kind of rolling right now. Yeah, the run defense was poor, no excuses, but I think it's one game. I'm not going to freak out too much about it. I need to get it cleaned up for sure. Can't have this become a repeat performance against the Commanders, but maybe just a one-off type of thing where the Giants popped a couple of plays and Tracy's a good running back that when they were committed to the run, the Giants could actually run the ball well. So in terms of the blitzing, I mean, they're still getting home, they're still getting pressure, and they're going to get Herbig back. And so, I mean, ideally, any defense that can rush 4 and drop 7 and still get pressure is where you want to be. So I don't think it requires a ton of blitzes if the front 4 can get home. And once you get back to full health, then you got a really good group to do that overall.
Yeah, I'd like to see this defense come out of the locker room a little bit better as well too, because they've given up some early, drives and movement, down the field here overall. So that could help. Obviously, if the offense start putting up 7s early in games, that could change a little bit of a complexion of a game as well too. Patrick Donovan writes in, what's going on with Broderick Jones? Last year he looked promising at right tackle and now he struggles. Do you see any injury to him that could be a bother to him where he'll get a procedure after the season? Also, I know it's early, but with Jones not having have played more time at right tackle than left tackle, including college. Next year, do we keep him at right tackle, keep Fautano at right tackle, who hasn't played much at right tackle at all? Patrick, my head isn't even to next season about who is at what side. I think the biggest thing right now, and I mean, it's next to him. I mean, I know Mike Tomlin talked about Broderick Jones having to overcome some injuries, but Broderick Jones has not been on the injury report. He's just technically flawed still when it comes to pass protection. I'd like to see him go through one of those Marcus Gilbert transformations.
I think his body type is good.
I'd like to see him lean up a little bit, maybe.
I don't know. He's a pretty... See him with a shirt off, he looks pretty lean.
Yeah, to me, he looks a little bit thick. I mean, I'm not, he's nowhere close to what Gilbert was in that remember that transformation that Marcus Gilbert made? I mean, that was a huge one. I'm not saying it's that drastic, but look, the key with him, he's technically flawed in pass protection.
Yeah, Duke could have a 6-pack. I mean, if you can't, strike with the right placement with your hands. Maybe he needs a boxing class or something to work on punch and placement and strike. I don't know, but his hands are a mess right now. There might be a lack of confidence. It's hard to say. The injury, I mean, he had the elbow arm thing. He wore that brace in the summer, early in the season. It's now been removed. It hasn't really changed his play. And yeah, next year is next year. I think Fautani probably stays at right tackle. Pittsburgh seemed to be pretty adamant that was going to be his spot. But is Broderick Jones even a starter at any spot next year? If this play continues, it's going to be hard to commit and feel confident about that left side or right side.
Yeah, and I have a feeling they're just going to let him try to work through it here.
It is. There's a discussion, and this is all to be had in the offseason. How much time do you give offensive linemen? Look at Dan Moore's progression. He's gotten better each year, and fourth-year guy, much better player. And that's true. You want to be patient with Broderick Jones. He was a young guy coming out. We knew he was pretty raw. Probably would have some struggles. But how do you know when it's just give this guy time versus, okay, this guy just is not the player we thought he would be? Like, where do you draw that line at between he's just a bust versus let's just be patient and he'll figure it out? That's going to be a big discussion to have in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that line this season, though.
No. I mean, I floated the idea, do you make a switch with Dylan Cook? I would consider it. I don't expect the team to do so, at least not for week 10.
All right, Daniel from Chicago writes in, I'm writing this at halftime, so play in the second half may render my question moot, though I don't think it will. Are we seeing Broderick Jones' trajectory transforming into that of Jarvis Jones in front of our eyes this season? I will say this, at least Broderick Jones in the run blocking department can give you something there, you know. We just talked about how from a technical issue and pass protection. It obviously has not been great. There's been reason for me to be concerned about Broderick Jones for a while now. Let's see how the second half of this season goes. I don't want to lump him in with Jarvis Jones just yet.
Yeah, I think we can watch the rest of the sophomore year and go from there. But it is going in the wrong direction. And yeah, you could say he's natural left tackle, but like you said, Dave, he's played now more right tackle than left tackle, and he looked a whole lot better at right tackle last year than he has this year. So it's not like he was struggling at right tackle from out of the gate. I mean, he showed much better tape last year. It really is just technically the dude's all over the place.
All right, I think we got through most of them here. I think we've done a pretty good job. Not having watched the All 22 yet, just going off of TV tape. This is a Tuesday morning show, which is rare for us. We will not have a Wednesday show with this team on the bye. We will come back on probably Friday, right? And give our we'll tear through what we learned from the All 22 tape. We'll look ahead to the games around the NFL, whatever else news, who knows? Maybe we'll talk about a trade. There'll be plenty to talk about on Friday. Any closing thoughts here on this 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers team heading into the bye?
I know I don't get too political on here, but Danny Smith for president, write him in. No, yeah, but I just also have, I'm trying to pull up one other stat of the weird, and I don't know if I'm doing this correctly or not, but I think Pittsburgh has only thrown one interception to their first 8 games. I think we got to highlight that point more. I mean, that just is such rare territory, and I don't think they've ever done that before in a single season. I'm trying to get the numbers on that right now. I might be.
And wasn't that the one that Justin Fields kind of forced that bounced up?
Yeah, they got tipped like 27 times, and then Bud Dupree picked it off. I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna have to work on this some, but because I think I have something inputted wrong. But yeah, that has to obviously be either a record or right there. To have one interception through their first 8 games is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, don't turn the football over. You're going to be in some games when it comes to the talk stat and all. All right, Alex, good job. Impressive job by you last night. Impressive pregame work by you and the guys. I learned so much from you and the guys even leading up to the game. Can't wait to see some of the breakdowns and all. We'll be posting clips on Twitter, I'm sure, here over the next 48 hours. You and I should have some pretty good conversations on Friday after tearing through the All 22. 6-2 is a good place to be. So we'll be back on Friday. And in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button up right navigational bar. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button up right navigational bar. Follow the directions that way. Thank you to our listenership. Thank you for our readership. A lot of great content coming on the site for the rest of the week here. So until Friday, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.